Hello and welcome on Watches TV. Welcome back on Primetime Watchmaking in the News. We have an intense May edition for you, and we will tell you about the results of the latest Geneva watch auctions. And it looks like things are getting back to some kind of normality, and what are the impacts of this and the state of the second-hand market on the primary market. We will touch upon some international events, refute some rumors, discuss new appointments and other industry news, and a bunch of new watches, this time highly sustainable, that will also be present in the second part of our show, plus the one I have on my wrist right now. And please remember that you can download this program as a podcast, and it for sure seems that more and more of you are doing so, and this naturally makes us happy. And before starting, just wanted to mention that next week we will publish a video explaining everything about the HOROPEDIA project, something I've been eager to share with you since a little while. And as a quick reminder, since our special April showtime, we published the fourth chapter of our Following the Beaver brand series, focusing more on the watchmakers and suppliers who normally stay in the shadow, and asked them about the challenges they faced while producing the final piece, considering the very tight deadlines they had. Well, then in our watch club, we met Oliver Muller from Lux Consult to talk about the Morgan Stanley Annual Industry Report, a clear reference today. And we were planning to do a short 20-minute video, but something went kind of wrong, and our exchange of thoughts on the market performance lasted a bit longer. Anyways, highly recommended to watch these 100 minutes of discussion. And if you want to know what's happening in the watchmaking world and where it is going, or again, simply download it as a podcast. We also spoke with the young and highly ambitious watch brand L'Abeille, which is aiming to shock the market with its new creation. Technically quite interesting, so wishing them the very best, but for sure an immense challenge. And we even went to the other side of the world to tell you about a new concept of a watch investment advisory firm, which is called Future Grail, which will host a museum, auction, top security, tax-free storage vault, and other services for collectors/investors. And I know that talking watches as an investment vehicle does sound a little bit less appealing, but at the very same time, this is a reality and has to be acknowledged as is. I know it's debatable, but it's just a reality. Okay, so let's now start this prime time with numbers. According to the official statistics, Swiss watch export are still rising in the first trimester of 2023. The growth is roughly 5% compared to the last 4 months of 2022. And if we dive deeper, following the normal gap of December-January, the most successful months were February and March, with the latter one having the biggest sales in terms of turnover. As we discussed with Olivier Muller, such figures are a general trend that we will most probably see throughout the year, which is mainly driven by the desirability, scarcity, and supply chain disruption of the previous years. It is indeed unlikely that there will be a sudden decline in the primary market, because brands have started to diversify their export countries and are trying to attract younger, wealthy customers with the new models of watches. But at the same time, with the strong correction witnessed on the secondary market, well, this could well have an impact on this primary market. Let me give you an example. If before you were almost certain that walking out of a boutique with a new piece meant that you could immediately sell it for more, well, this kind of secured you on your purchasing decision. With now prices going a little bit down and availability of certain models being less of an issue, well, in this case, this could slow down your decision. Okay, I'm not saying that it concerns every type or category of timepiece, but if this trend continues, well, it could have quite an influence on this industry. All right, next news regarding this rumor we've been hearing for a while about the alleged acquisition of Cartier by LVMH Group. I mean, earlier we discussed the possible deal as well as the history behind it, but a few days ago, Johann Rupert, chairman of Richemont, has officially refuted such insinuation. During one of the recent press calls, he admitted that he has huge respect for Bernard Arnault and talks to him regularly, although he hasn't received any offer regarding this issue. I mean, he underlined that Richemont is not for sale, and as a trait of humor, he also mentioned that he is not planning to buy LVMH either. Well, that last remark is quite nice given the circumstances and the growth of Richemont's turnover in 2022. The luxury conglomerate's operating profit increased by 34% to reach $5.5 billion in the past fiscal year ending in March. and it considers LVMH as its main concurrency, and I, for one, wouldn't be surprised if something had indeed been going on between the two of them, especially before the reveal of these big numbers, but I'm sure that in any case we're far away from the deal of the century. But these operating profits by Richemont have to be significantly nuanced, since they've been almost totally wiped out thanks to the mega heavy loss on the sales of e-commerce platform Yoox Net-a-Porter, a side endeavor which has costed billions to the group. Okay, next business news with the serious production capability expansion of Greubel Forsey, who's planning to invest more than $20 million into the new equipment and expansion of its manufacture in La Chaux-de-Fonds in the coming years. Having been present in the area since 2009, the brand wants to move from 2,000 to 5,300 square meters to be able to deliver more than the 100 timepieces per year that we've been used to, and this mainly thanks to the launch of their sportier line a couple of years ago. Well, that's very good news, and it shows that demand for independent, high-quality watches is still growing, and in turn this means new job in the Neuchâtel area. But not only there, as Bulgari is also planning to increase the production of timepieces and might even start using robots for this. Following last year's announcements to double the production in its jewelry manufacturing plant in Valenza, Italy, the horological branch of the brand is getting a significant boost as well. According to the plan, confirmed by Bulgari, a new workshop will be installed in Seignelay. It is reserved for métier d'art, the decorative techniques used to embellish watches, and will become operational by the end of the year. In addition to this, the movement factory in Le Sentier, in the Vallée de Joux, will be expanded and equipped with more modern machines working 24 hours a day. And there will also be new technologies involved, including machines reproducing the gestures of polishers with humanoid arms. Sounds almost scary, but I'm pretty sure it will not steal the job from real people who've been professionally doing this for years. I mean, there is currently such a need for these type of skills, but the question of employment in the watchmaking universe might pop up quite unexpectedly. And in general, we've been talking about the shortage of experienced watchmakers for a while now, and I hope that news like this will also bring back interest in developing quality education for the future watchmaking workforce. But that's a big topic for another story by itself. In appointments, we would like to congratulate Davide Cerato as the new CEO and member of the board of the Bremont watches, the UK brand. And prior to this, Cerato worked for Tudor, Montblanc, Panerai, and recently HYT. Tudor's Black Bay watch, reinterpreted under Cerato's supervision, became one of the company's most successful and popular collections, and for him it will be an interesting challenge to work with the luxury watch provider to the UK Ministry of Defense. And I would like to mention that in January, Bremont received a $59 million investment from American billionaire Bill Ackman and a New York-based investor Hellcat Acquisition LP firm. Bremont recently paid tribute to the major event for the United Kingdom, which took place on May the 6th, and I'm talking about the coronation of King Charles III, and the brand presented a limited edition watch dedicated to the new king, which will be individually hand-assembled upon order. It is the 43mm Bremont MB-II, featuring a clear white dial with cathedral hands and heraldic touches, including legal purple second hands, and the stainless steel case back is engraved with King Charles' coronation emblem, and in addition, the brand decided to offer a unique commemorative coin with the purchase of any of its timepieces in May. Still in the appointments sector, but moving to Switzerland, and we were all aware that François-Henri Benamias will be leaving the chair of AP at the end of the year, and there were a lot of rumors and speculation about the incoming management nomination, and we finally just heard the fresh news. So Mr. Benamias will be replaced by someone not coming from the watch industry, as Madame Ilaria Resta has been appointed CEO of Audemars and will start working later this summer for a transition period before taking solely the command of the brand on the 1st of January 2024. Mrs. Resta previously worked for Procter & Gamble for 22 years before taking a directing role in Firmenich, one of the world's largest fragrance manufacturer. So quite an interesting move by AP, and nice to see a woman taking over, as only 70% of upper management positions are held by women in this industry. So under Mr. Benamia's supervision, the brand did significantly develop its business and making it one of the biggest powerhouse of the industry, reaching more than 2 billion Swiss francs of sales last year for production of 40,000 watches per year. We know AP will increase the production capabilities with new facilities still in construction, either in the Vallée de Joux, but also here in Geneva. So Mrs. Resta will inherit a solid company, but there are for sure many things they can still do better, and good luck to her for this nomination, and would be interesting to know what AP people are thinking about it internally. Moving on from octagons to hexagons with some news from France, as Vacheron-Constantin has launched a new program for its client in partnership with the Louvre, based in Paris. Both have been working together since 2019 and produced an outstanding timepiece for the 2020 bid for the Louvre auction. A single-piece edition created by Les Cabinotiers had a personalized dial bearing the image chosen by the buyer from the artwork kept in the museum, and it was La lutte pour l'étendard de la bataille d'Anghiari by Pierre-Paul Rubens. So to reproduce the painting on a 3.3 centimeter surface was quite a challenge, and the master engraver used the miniature painting technique infused by the Blanc de Limoges, generally used in grisaille enamel. Inside the 18-karat 5N gold case, there's the 2460 SC in-house caliber with a golden oscillating weight with a 40-hour power reserve. And as you can see, the result was impressive and set the bar pretty high for a decoration artist, of course. So this year, Vacheron-Constantin decided to continue with this path and is now offering its customer the possibility of creating a single-piece edition Les Cabinotiers with an enamel reproduction of an artwork from the Louvre chosen by the purchaser. The authenticity of the reproduction will be certified by the museum, and the customer will get a special guided tour of the Louvre and Vacheron's manufacture. Pretty sweet. The next story is for our viewers from New York. Having been present in the Big Apple since 2009, F.P.Journe decided to change the location of its boutique and move to Soho from Manhattan, Upper East Side. The new 550 square meters showcase will offer collectors and watch enthusiasts an excellent opportunity to discover timepieces in a pleasant environment. Soho is known for its artistic and fashionable vibe and will serve as an additional decoration for the place that will be more of a private club than a shop. The New York Maison is built around a large bar with small cozy lounges. It has its own library containing books on watchmaking and display cases showing the collections, of course. Upstairs, there's a kitchen, a wine cellar, as well as a large room with comfortable sofas and tables for dinners and receptions. And I'm pretty sure this will quickly become a new sightseeing point for watch aficionados. And if you can't visit the New York Maison of F.P.Journe right now, well, I must say that we had a few nice opportunities to see some of the brand's pieces in Geneva recently. One such opportunity was on May the 12th when a special Christie's auction dedicated to Journe watches was held. 40 rarer slots, including one painting, all belonging to one collector, were presented under the title The Art of F.P.Journe. The sale, the white glove sale, resulted in $14.1 million, and almost one-third of the buyers and participants were millennials. So bidding on these final lots was tense, especially on lot 38, the early platinum chronometer with resonance-controlled twin independent gear train brass movement. This early pre-subscription model was sold for $1.5 million to a customer from the UAE after an intense exchange of bids with his counterpart on the phone from Saudi. And lot 39, the jewel of the sales, an exceedingly rare, historic and highly important platinum tourbillon souverain souscription, was sold for over $3 million. It is the number 2 of the very first series of subscription watches from 1999. There were only 20 pieces made, most of them to be sold to Journe's close friends and early clients. And the person who back then bought this number 2 also got subscription number 1 from the series because he wanted to give the second watch to his friend. I mean, well, this is indeed a very good friendship. And as we moved to the auctions, now I would like to say a few words on what we witnessed during the dense weekend of sales a week ago here. First, it looks like things are coming back to some kind of normality, as I mentioned, And following the crazy surge of prices on the secondary market and record sales that we've been seeing here last spring especially, well, this year's auction can be even called moderate, if I can say so. Despite the white glove, few timepieces surpassed their highest estimate, which were quite conservative this time, and makes me think that we might have reached some kind of a buying capacity limit for some collectors. But during these sales, it was also nice to see a significant number of pocket watches, including the astonishing timepieces from a single owner presented by Sotheby's. And it's only the first part of a huge collection meticulously curated for more than 45 years. Antiquorum, which generated a remarkable total sale of $11.4 million, also had several gems, including a world record for a Rolex reference 6263 Cosmograph Daytona, also an outstanding double-bladed pocket knife automaton with a watch attributed to Piguet and Capt, or Piguet and Melon, not so sure about that, or historically important keyless pocket watch made from Pope Leo XIII. There was also an extremely rare Patek Philippe reference 1252 Caméléon, who was also quite interesting to see because there are only two of them known to date, one of which stays in the collection of the Patek Philippe Museum here in Geneva, and the second one quadrupled its highest estimate and was sold for $430,000. All in all, it was good to see historical pieces of such great quality, and many of those who came in person enjoyed the pleasure of seeing them with their own eyes and not on the screen of their computer or phones, which normally do not reveal the whole beauty of these objects in question. So Christie's Rare Watches live sale that was held on the 13th of May alone has accumulated an impressive sale of $29.7 million. Out of 159 timepieces, 6 watches were sold above $1 million and further 4 watches above $500,000. The top lot, the Patek Philippe reference 5711/1A-018, additionally signed Tiffany & Co., achieved $2.4 million with the upper estimate of $4 million. And it looks like the public's interest in this turquoise dial is slightly slowing down, and I will drop a little thank God for this, as last year the same watch found its new owner for almost $3.2 million against a retail price of $52,000. So that's quite a big difference in there. And this time it only surpassed the lower estimate, but nonetheless quite a crazy price for a production contemporary watch. Other Pateks showed more sustainability in the price ranges, with a small growth on separate pieces. This is a clear sign that classic watches are still in high demand on the market. But let's not forget that this is not the final result for the spring sales for Christie's, as their online auction is taking place at the very moment, and you still have time to follow Watches Online, Geneva Edit, and check the lots on its website. At Sotheby's, as was mentioned earlier, it was nice to see historical timepieces at the Centuries of Time, a private collection sale. Still, the cumulative numbers from the 2 live and 1 online auction have reached a humble $17.5 million US dollar. Yes, humble in this world is quite relative. And even though these numbers look not very impressive, there were still some surprises. The fantastic example of the reference 6241 yellow gold chronograph Rolex Daytona John Player Special has set a new world record with almost $2.5 million. Quite a nice birthday present for the 60th anniversary of Rolex's iconic model. The watch was described as the true Daytona unicorn, not only because it was in a very good condition, though never been serviced since 1969. Only 300 reference 6241 have been made in yellow gold cases, and an even smaller number have this distinctive John Player Special dial. It was named after the John Player Special cigarettes and the Team Lotus Formula One that British tobacco company John Player and Son sponsors in the 70s and 80s. As it was with the F.P.Journe auction, the bidding for this model was fierce, and no wonder the timepiece has doubled its upper estimates. It is interesting, however, to notice that the overall number of bidders in the room more than doubled compared to both last 2 Geneva Sotheby's sales, and this means that people are interested in coming in person despite quite some good turnover for online sales, with the latter one to become the main platform for the aforementioned historical pieces this time. And Phillips once again received the white glove with an extraordinary sale surpassing 52.5 million and setting 4 world records. This two-day event generated its third highest total in history. I mean, seriously, these guys just crashed the auction weekend with their 207 lots, including Rolex reference 6270, the Endgame, a prototype of the first watch under the name of Beaver, and a collective work of the watchmaking art named Naissance d'une montre 2. An extremely rare anti-magnetic Rolex 6541 Milgauss, the pinnacle from 58, was sold for a crazy 2.7 million, setting a new world record for this model. And the watch was made specifically for scientists working at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, the CERN, based here in Geneva. It is estimated that fewer than 200 Milgausses were ever produced. Of the two known references, the 6541 and the 6543. So exceedingly rare, the reference 6541 was presented with all papers, including 2 certificates and a presentation box, which helped tremendously to raise the final price and created a precedent for the future estimates for this model. One thing is certain, this watch has joined the Hall of Fame, taking the place of honor in the heart of avid watch collectors, next to the Sub, the Explorer, the GMT Master, and so forth. So the very first model of the Beaver watch as well managed to raise the bar pretty high with $1.3 million fetched, which is twice as much as its pre-order selling price. And you know Mr. Beaver's marketing talent, so there was a bit of a show around this. Was quite fun, and the tourbillon minute repeater carillon number 00/00 will now go to the US to its new owner along with a bottle of wine offered by Mr. Beaver himself. And a bit questionable result was achieved by Naissance d'une montre 2 with $450,000 because many were hoping that a completely handmade timepiece created by some big names of contemporary watchmaking could get more than its upper estimate. The 41mm unique white gold collaboration between Greubel Forsey, Urwerk, Dominique Buzer and Cyrano de Vente, in my opinion, was a true piece of art and even priceless at some point. But I'm sure that the new owner is still extremely happy with this deal. Okay, let's now talk watches, and we will start with the piece I have on my wrist, and what a cool piece this is. This is the new de Bethune DB28 XS Starry Seas, and its main new feature is its size, as it now comes in a 39mm case compared to this model, the DB28 XP Starry Sky that we've been more accustomed to, and coming in a 43mm case. Well, it's only 4mm, but what a difference these 4mm make. Okay, if you have a larger wrist, you might well prefer the larger model, but for me, and without hesitating 1 second, I must say that this new piece just sits beautifully and perfectly on my wrist with the brand's signature floating lug system. I mean, it feels totally balanced and I just simply love it. On the dial side, you have this wave-like feature made with a random guilloche pattern applied on a blued titanium plate. And this guilloche technique is a world first, and would love to know more about it, hopefully soon. So regarding the movement, it's a slightly adapted version of the DB 2005 caliber, so nothing really new, but nonetheless, always a pleasure to look at. So this new piece will be part of the brand's collection and therefore is not limited, but naturally limited by production capability of the brand. And I'm pretty certain that this will be a clear killer for them. Big congrats. Okay, next watch, and let's dive into the deep sea with the new version of the first dive watch by Nival-Lagrantian, the Antarctic Diver. The release of the Reinterpreted model was made today, May 25th, and there are 11 different variants, or in fact, one watch with 11 different bracelets and straps. The base is a 38mm steel case with a ceramic bi-directional bezel and a double-dome sapphire glass with an anti-reflective coating. It's water resistant up to 200 meters and it looks almost identical to the Geneva Antarctic Diver from the 60s, but the new version is 2mm smaller than its predecessor and is made from new materials. Hidden inside the case is a self-winding mechanism with a Soprod P024 caliber with 38 hours of power reserve. The new watch comes with a small book featuring all the Antarctic timepieces of the brand, as well as the history of the flagship model and the deep freeze expedition of the US Navy to the South Pole, where it was tested. I would say it's quite an interesting option if you're still waiting for your sub or 50 fathom, though not quite a pure substitute. Staying with the tool watch theme, Omega announced the release of 3 new versions of Seamaster Aquaterra World Timer with scratch-resistant ceramic bezel. Well, this is not what we've been hoping for after the huge success of you-know-what type of collaboration, but a nice addition to the Seamaster pack. There are 3 options available in 43mm, steel with a green dial and a bracelet, steel with a green dial and a green rubber strap, and a black titanium with a strap. So the anti-magnetic META certified coaxial master chronometer calibers are water resistant to 150 meters and have 60 hours of power reserve. World time are measured by hands and indexes in 18-karat moonshine gold, and this time Omega decided to use lasers to engrave the whole dial with the relief of the globe. The laser ablating technique created an extremely precise view of the continent and colors on the grade 5 titanium surface. So not an innovation per se, but together with ceramic bezel, it creates a nice feeling that Omega is taking the path of new technologies and materials that some brands have been exploring already for a while. So next comes a freaky one-eyed time eater Cyclope from a collaboration of Louis Erard and Constantin Kchaykin. 2 models, 42mm green and 39mm purple, each come in a limited edition of 178 pieces with 28 special diptych box sets featuring both timepieces. I guess, as it's always the case with Kchaykin pieces, all Cyclopes are already sold out. Anyways, one more wrist monster to the collection. Polished stainless steel case, domed sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective treatment on both sides. And the Sellita SW266/1 caliber movement visible through the transparent case back and is water resistant to 50 meters. So this watch literally stares at you with its single eye, that's actually an hour disc, and screams at you with the black void of a mouth position at 6 o'clock, which is a seconds disc. A silver lower plate with a sunray wave pattern decorates the main dial, echoing with the shape of a minute hand, adding to the overall feeling that the beast is moving on your wrist. Very cool optical illusion, by the way. So the next timepiece is also quite interesting in design. It is made by a young Swiss brand named Kauri that uses the homonymous oldest existing wood in the world to create watch cases. Samuel Guillon, the owner of the brand, became a laureate of the GPHG in 2009 as the best watchmaking student, and since then was excelling in his craftsmanship with Les Cabinottés of Vacheron-Constantin. In 2019, he decided to install his own independent brand, but due to COVID restriction, production capacities was quite small. And one of his latest creations is a watch with a case made from a special wood called Swiss ebonite, produced from the eco-responsible forest here in Switzerland. This raw material surpassed a complicated process of compression to harden it even more and be suitable for Kauri's crafting needs. As a result, the wood becomes resistant to extreme temperatures and humidity, which makes it a perfect option for a watch case. There are only 20 pieces created at the moment in 38 and 41mm, with so-prod movement and the case made from this black wood almost resembling Vantablack's absence of color. This model is quite popular among collectors because of its authentic design, but Samuel told us that he's planning to present his own movement by the end of the year, which I guess might become a game changer for him. Okay, next timepiece, and I don't really know how to interpret this one, as Hublot collaborated with the famous Swiss coffee maker Nespresso. The latter one, in fact, is the mastermind behind the vivid green creation as a tribute to Swissness and sustainability. The new timepiece is partly made from this, and proud of its recycling program, Nespresso proposed Hublot to make a timepiece from former aluminium capsules containing fine grains of organic coffee from Peru. And the watch brand accepted the challenge and came up with this Big Bang Nespresso. And as a base, Hublot used its Unico chronograph movement wrapped in a 42mm case produced with a special aluminium alloy featuring 28% of metal from Nespresso capsules and the rest from the aeronautic industry. Apparently, the technology used is more or less the same as in the Magic Gold, otherwise the case would be just too soft. The rubber straps have been developed using 8.2% recycled white rubber and 4.1% coffee grounds. And the fiber for the additional green fabric strap is made from the coffee ground as well. So the watch comes in a wooden box, also made from recycled wood from the eco-responsible forest, and a nice engraving on the box is made from coffee grounds. There were only 200 pieces made, but during the press conference, both CEOs noticed that if successful, the collaboration might extend to other colors and models. Okay, we're reaching the end of this prime time, and yes, was again quite a long one, but that's just the way it is. And I would like to repeat that next week we will finally publish this video explaining at large the HOROPEDIA projects. Can't wait to do so. So thanks a lot for watching, sharing, commenting this show, and see you real soon. And until then, a massive Viva Watchmaking to you. All the best and take care.